Hey everyone, Paul and Sam. Welcome to part 4 of our Fujimi 16 scale Koenig Lamborghini Countach build. So, final part today, we've got all the last bits and pieces to put on the kit and get it all mated together, get all the wheels on and get this thing finished. So, looking forward to get this one finished. It feels like it's dragged on forever, but it's because it's been so spread out amongst other builds, it's just taken a long time to come to fruition. So, without further ado, let's crack on with the build. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. So on with part 4, and we start off with the inevitable part cleanup. So we've got lots of parts left over to clean up here, all the finishing bits. So we've got all the wheel bay, I suppose we call it, the front of the car. It's got the spare wheel, battery, master cylinder for the brakes, and a few other bits and bobs in there. So they all need cleaning up using various ultimate sanders. We're going to clean it up and get it prepped, ready for primer. So after everything's cleaned up and mounted, we've got some Tamiya white primer and Mr. Service of 1500 black. And we're going to give everything a couple of coats of primer in preparation for our base colours. So UMP Apex 0.35 at about 18 psi, 2 light coats, 3 light coats at the most. Just build it up nice and slow. The Tamiya fine surface primer decanted, thinned a little bit with some Tamiya lacquer thinner with retarder and airbrushed on, much easier to use. As is the Mr. Service of 1500, thinned with Miss Hobby leveling thinner through the same apex. Couple of light coats, really nice primers, reliable, and yeah, they leave a nice base coat behind. So, like I say, everything gets a light coat, couple of light coats, and then we'll leave it to dry overnight and come back the next day for base colours. As this is dried, we'll come in and we're going to brush paint the master cylinder silver. Now, you could mask this up, but just as quick to paint it, and it leaves good finish. This is Vallejo Model Air Silver. It's a nice brush paint, looks really good, self-level as well, and yeah, just a couple of coats of this will be more than adequate on this part. I also painted up the cap on the expansion tank on the car and painting up the negative side of the battery here in the same paint. Off camera, I'll paint up the positive side in red LP, and I've drilled a couple of holes in the bottom just to get some cabling. So I've got some thin red wire. I've stripped the end, a little dab of CA glue, and I'm going to pop it in the hole, and that will give us our battery cables. So this is just for luck. They're not really going to go anywhere. This is going to go underneath the battery, like so. So a little dab of CA glue. Push the stripped wire into the hole, hold it for a second, and the glue will take a hold of that. So there's our positive one done, and if we flip it round to the negative side, we'll do the negative one as well, like so. There we go. Simple, quick and easy. And like I say, we'll snip these, fold them around underneath the battery, and just connect them underneath. They're not going anywhere in the wheel well, so they can just sit underneath. Right then, so the spare tyre is moulded into the wheel well bay. To mask it looks like a bit of a nightmare, so I opted to brush paint it. LP65 Tamiya rubber black, a flat brush from Tamiya as well, and a single nice light coat. It's already primed in black, so the grey-black rubber colour will cover really well. It's just a couple of light coats, and we've got our tyre, well, simulated and painted. Now, LP paint's not the best to brush paint with, but they do work well. The key is not going back over where you already painted too much. So a couple of strokes will normally do. Just give it a light brush over, leave it, let it dry. If it needs another coat, come back later. If you keep brushing over the same part, the lacquer will reactivate the lacquer underneath, and you'll end up pulling the paint off. So as long as you load the brush up and don't go over too many times, it'll brush paint pretty well. Same for this intake here. Now, I don't know what this is for. It's not for the engine because it's at the front. So I'm guessing it's for the heater system of the car. If anyone knows, let me know. But it sits in the spare wheel bay at the front. It's got a little connection on the front and a flexible joint halfway up. So it's something to do with air. And I'm going to guess it's for the heating system. The air horns, they've been painted in red. The back of it painted in Mr. Surface of black. And they're just glued in place with a bit of CA glue. Nice and simple, look the part. And then we've got our battery as well. So the bottom part of the battery's been painted white. And then we've got the section we made earlier with the wiring. We're going to glue those together, like so. And then we need to find a decal for the front of this. There isn't one that comes with the kit. So I've had a good rummage for all my spare decals and found something suitable. Now, I've no idea what the decal's off, but I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of spare decals in here, all sorts in there. So I just rooted around and found something that looked, like a pass for a battery make. And I did. I found this one. So I found this SKP. No idea where it's off. It's off a kit of some sort, a rally car, I'm guessing. But I thought that looked pretty good. So applying it in the usual manner that we do all our decals in. We just get it in, line it up, get it in place, and hit it with decal solution, and I think it looks all right. No idea what this company makes or who they are, but they make batteries now. So get it on, remove all the excess moisture, and then hit it with a decal solution afterwards. So there we go, that's looking good. Looks the part. So we've got all the battery glued in place, the brake master cylinder, the air horns, the spare wheels all done. We've left the chrome on the wheel center itself and just glued it in place. And I've got this little particle on the right hand side. Now, I've no idea what this is at all. It's a very odd looking piece. If anyone knows again what this is, I have absolutely no idea. It's said to paint it black and then paint all the little thin things in copper. So that's what I did. And there we go. There's our spare wheel well all complete. Not bad. You're not really going to see it unless you open the front up, but we know it's there. Now, flattening and polishing the 2K. Now, this 2K was done a long time ago, well over a month ago. And it's gone a little bit thick because I changed the way I've sprayed recently on the Fuchs truck, if you've seen that. So it's gone a little bit thick. So we're going to take it back with some 2500 wet and dry, then hit it with the Ultima polish system, starting with the compound, a fresh, clean square of old t-shirt. And we're going to pop the compound on and buff it up, get the shine back. Then come in with our polish and give that a buff up as well. And go around the whole car till we've done everything. Now, the 2K job's not too bad. The colour's not bad. We've got a lot of rubbish in the clear coat. And because it's white, we can see every little piece. So there is a few flaws in the paintwork. It's not the best, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, you can only try your best. And sadly, with 2K, what you've got left with at the end is what you've got. So not my best bodywork, but certainly not my worst. But we're going to make the best as we can by going around, flatten all the body, and giving it all a good buff up, polish, and try and get as much shine back to it as we possibly can. Once we've done the compound, we come with the polish. So the compound is basically a more abrasive polish, and then we come with the polish and get this up to a higher shine. So the polish is the last one to use. You don't always have to use the compound. If the finish isn't that bad, you can just use the polish, but we're going to use both and try and get this back to as good a shine as we can get. And to be fair, it doesn't look too bad once it's done, but it's a good few hours of elbow grease work to do because there's a lot of body work to do. And this is the reason I left those pillars in on the windscreen. Those A pillars are very thin on the Countach, so yes, I left those in for now. So yes, we'll go around, give it a good polish up, and then come back, buff it up, and get it to a nice high shine. Once you're happy it's all done, we then buff it up with a nice clean cloth, and if you need to repeat it with each stage, or start again if you wish, and carry on. Just be aware not to burn through your clear coat. So we primed up all these parts off camera. These are all the last bits and bobs for the car. Primed them a surface of 1500 black. We then come in with some Tamiya LP5 semi-gloss black, 0.35 apex, 18 psi. I'm spilling paint everywhere. I'm just going to give everything a quick couple of light coats of semi-gloss black. And these are the last parts to paint up to put on the car. So yes, we've got our mirrors, we've got some vents, some grills, we've got the window inserts for the side windows. Like I say, give it a couple of coats and yeah, leave it all to dry. Now the window wipers, these I have left in LP5. I'll then come in with my Edding black marker and I'm just going over where the rubber would be. It's a little bit of a slight contrast, not the most noticeable, but it adds a little bit of interest, a little bit of depth to the part. Otherwise it would just be a boring black part. So there's various ways you could do this. It's something I'm definitely going to look into. Maybe a grey marker might be better over the black, but for now we're using the black. Clear parts. Now these are all masked up, as you can see. We masked up for the indicators and the reverse lights. So all we did was popped a sheet of Tamiya 6mm tape over the top, burst it down with a cocktail stick, and then cut it out with our knife as if we were masking a canopy. And then sprayed over the top in Tamiya LP Clear Red. Several coats, took quite a lot to build it up. Once it's dry, we can then put our indicator orange in. So we're just going to load this up on a micro brush and load up into the center, like so, on each side. Let that dry, and this will look good once it's all done. Nice and simple. Obviously, we'll repeat that for the other side, and then the other side is the reverse light. Headlights. So the chrome kit, the kit chrome we've left. We're going to apply a little bit of UV glue in the back of this to hold the headlight in. It's already pushed in place. The clear part, we've cleaned it up, put it in place, secure it with the UV glue, and then we can pop this on the car as well. UV glue is good. Don't listen to it. It takes more than 5 seconds. It takes at least 10 seconds in my experience. And then we can get each one of these light units, get them in place, make sure you line them up correctly. They are handed as well, so make sure you get the right side. And then a couple of dabs of UV glue in a few strategic places. Hit it with the UV light, and that'll cure and hold that in place. Loving the UV pens for doing stuff like this. It holds it enough to hold it in place. It's also removable. It's a lot cleaner than CA glue and safer to use. And then on the backlight as well, we get the light unit in, a couple of dabs of UV glue, hit it with the light, and yeah, that's it. Holds it all in place. Just give it a bit longer. Give it about 10-15 seconds, I find. And you may find the older the pen, the longer the UV glue takes to set as well. But as you can see, we just go for strategic places on edges and corners. Hit it, let the glue self-level. It does self-level really quick. And then hit it with the light on the end of the pen. Rear light lenses, they're all nicely dried. We put a few dabs of UV glue in there as well. So we pop that in place. Make sure it's all lined up properly. And we get our UV light and hit it up as well. And again, repeat that for the other side. And that's both our rear light units in. Don't look too bad. They could do being a touch darker. The red's not quite as dark as what I've seen on the real car. So I'm almost tempted to have sprayed it in proper red, real red paint. I don't know. It would not give the same effect. But obviously we repeat this to the side. And there we go. There's our light units in place. Now, loads of glass on this. Now, this is the weak point on these kits. It's not very optically good. But a lot of awkward shapes on this. So clean it up, clean the glass up. We go around the edge with our Edding marker pen to add the rubber seal in there, per se, as you want to call it. And then a few dabs and streaks of UV glue. As you can see. Don't go mad, you don't need a lot. And then make sure you got the window orientated the correct way. Pop it in place. If you get any excess glue, you can wipe it off with a cotton bud. You can moisten it, or you put a bit of UV airbrush cleaner on it, and that will take it off. So we're going to hold it in place, flip it upside down, just get a cotton bud and just wipe off any excess. Like so. And then again, hit it with the UV light, and we can set it all in place. So yeah, just take your time with this. Like I said, it's a lot safer than using CA glue, which can be a bit of a nightmare, but it doesn't hold the bond as strong, so just be aware of that. And then obviously repeat that for the other side too. And then we've got all the other glass to put in as well. So headlights as well, we might as well pop these in. We put the back in before, so we put the tops in as well. So again, make sure you secure it with the UV glue properly. Give it a good few seconds. So I think something I need to buy in the future is a stronger UV light. I think it'll help it dry a lot quicker if it's got a bit more power. But for now, this is doing the job. Now, we've got a rear luggage compartment, I'm going to call it. It's not a boot, I wouldn't say, necessarily, but it's certainly a luggage compartment. And you've got to try and apply this, put this in place with the boot lid on as well. So I found it easier to assemble it as one unit, because the hinges fit in two little edges. Assemble it as one unit, then push it through the back. Like so. And then we can glue it in place. Now, UV glue, probably not going to be strong enough for this because it is a moving part. You can see the boot lid, the luggage trunk lid does lift up. So holding it in place, hit it with some Loctite craft glue or crafty pen, whatever the hell it's called now. Used to be Perfect Pen, but it's changed names. It is now called Super Glue Creative. There we go. Pop it in place, couple of dabs, hit it with some kicker. And then we've got our engine cover here as well, which again is hinged. So a couple of little covers to go over the top to hold it in place. A couple of dabs of the Creative pen again, and some activator will hold those in place really well. And there we go. That's that. Now, these supports. Now, I've made a bit of a mistake here. I thought the black around the windscreen was on the car, and it's not. Had I known this, I probably would have removed these earlier. But luckily, the way the windscreen fits in, it covers where I've cut these off. So we got very, very lucky there. So we cut them off, and then we're going to clean them up with a 400 UMP thinny stick, like so, until they're gone, top and bottom. Like I said, I was a bit worried, thinking, uh-oh. But luckily, the glass sits over the top. Now, the glass is badly marked. Like I say, it's a real weak point of the kit, the glass on these Fujimi 16 scales. So we've got some Novus polish, which is made for polishing plastic. We're going to polish it up as good as we possibly can. So we've got the coarser of the three substances, so number 3. We're going to go around and give it all a good buff and polish up. We'll do both sides, and then we'll come in with number 2, the lesser fine abrasive one, and give that a good polish up as well. It's good stuff, this, and I do get a good shine out of this. Sadly, when I come to mask it, I remove the masking tape. The masking tape leaves residue behind, and I found with this glass, once it's marked, you can't get the marks off. And obviously, because I've painted around the edge in black, I can't really polish it again because I'd have to mask it again, and we're back to step 1. So while we've got a nice finish here, the masking tape kind of ruined that on us. Kind of a curse build, this one near the end. Few issues, few problems, but it is what it is. And like I say, once you come to the end, get a nice clean cotton t-shirt, cut off, and give it a good buff up, like so. So like I say, it did make a big improvement on the glass. It's such a shame that the masking tape ruined it again, but it is what it is. There's not much we can do. So there we go, masked up, like I said. Sadly, like I say, the residue does leave marks behind, and it was detacked, so there shouldn't be as much, but there's a windscreen done. It's going to burnish all the edges down to make sure we're all down and nice and sealed. Like so. And then the doors as well, we need to paint the outer edge. Now, there are demarcation lines on the door, which is very, very handy to follow. So masked up using a combination of Tamiya 1, 2, 3, and 6, 10, and 18mm tapes. So we've painted up the surround around the windscreen. I've noticed the marks. I've got some UMP airbrush cleaner on a clean cotton cloth, and sadly it makes no difference whatsoever. I found with some of the glasses, like the Fujimi glass, once it's got a mark on it, be it a fingerprint, a solution mark like decal solutions or masking tape, it just won't come off, and sadly that is the case with this. So bit of a nightmare really, but I guess it's just one of those things, unfortunately. Yes, so we polished it up, got it really nice, and the masking tape came in and ruined it. It's still better than it was at the beginning, so it's not all a loss. Now, the window does fit in pretty well, actually. I was quite surprised by this, so I've lined it up, got it in place, and then we'll flip it over and get some UV glue on there. But actually fits in place pretty well. Not too bad at all. It's quite a distinctive shape, this one. So, yeah, replacing it be a bit of a nightmare. But as you can see, it fits in well. And then we're going to grab our UV pen and apply some strategic glue points around the edge. And then hit it with our UV pen as usual. There we go. I'm just getting it all glued and held in place like so. A lot cleaner and simpler than CA glue. No fogging. You've got no risk of it cracking or breaking. I did have a part a while back crack from CA glue. No idea what caused it, but it did. So yeah, you got to take your chances sometimes. Now, between the engine bay and the cockpit, or the cabin, whatever you want to call it, the interior, there is a little glass piece. So again, UV glue in place, cleaned up any excess, and then hit it with the UV light. I'm just going to turn the light off so you can see it. Like I said, I think a more powerful UV light would set this a bit quicker. So it's definitely something I'm going to look into. But the interior is looking well. Very happy with that red interior. Dashboard glued in place. Now, in hindsight, I think this should have been angled up a bit more, but I just went by the way it sat naturally on the car. And I think it's a touch low, but it's hard to tell where it should be, because for me, these two pieces should sit flat together. So that's how I've done it. We put some CA glue on, glued it in place, hit it with some kicker, and then we're going to try and get the body over. Now, this is a bit of a squeeze, so fine, getting the back piece in first, pushing it down, to make sure we get it in place, just make sure nothing's obstructing it. And there is something stopping it. I'm just trying to figure out what it is. And I realise it's one of the radiator cooling fans. It just needs pushing back just a little bit. And there we go. We're in place. And then there's a little lip on the front, which takes a little bit of coercing to get in. But there we go, it's in place. And there we go, for the most part, there's our body shell in place. There we are, it's looking good. The interior looks good against the white body. Now, this is a moment I wish I could go back and redo. I CA glued the wheels on, which is quite common to what I do. Now, what you don't do when you CA glue things on, especially if it's got large amounts of CA glue, is put it in an enclosed place. I did it before with the F12 Ferrari Berlinetta. I put it in a storage box when I CA glued the interior in. And what the CA glue will do is the old CSI trick. It will leave a residue everywhere and highlight any fingerprints. Now, because I'm using CA glue on the wheels and I'm pushing the wheels over with my fingers, I'll come back in the next day and there's fingerprints all over the tyres and a haze all over the body and the glass. So it's kind of ruined some of the hard work we've done. Again, apart from a complete overhaul, there's not much I can do about it really. It's a bit of a shame, but it's just more on there. We'll have a chat about this more at the end. Not everything can go to plan, and sometimes things do go wrong. So, lessons learned. Now, I did have some of the Bob Smith's odorless glue, which stops this kind of problem. It's not the best CA glue. It takes a while to dry, and my last bottle went off. But I've ordered some more for parts like this in future, just to stop any problems. Now, the boot lid, one of my little lugs snapped off one side, which was probably a blessing because that way I could get the spoiler on properly. So a couple of dabs of CA glue, we line the spoiler up on the front and get that neatly held in place. And then our exhaust on the back, the one we made from aluminium tubing, is glued in place like so. So yeah, real shame about the CA glue, but just one of those things, unfortunately. Side windows, again, abysmal plastic, not the best. Again, polished it up, didn't come up too bad, but it's a lot thicker than the front windscreen is. So we'll just have to go with it. It is what it is. There's no way of replicating this really because it's all recessed for the actual window trim. So it is what it is, but we're gluing it in place on the door, using our UV pen to get it all glued in. And it went in quite well. Not too bad at all. Couple of dabs, preferably where you can't see it, because you can see it once you try. It does haze to a opaque colour. It's not completely clear. So do it out the way where it can't necessarily be seen. And then just hit it with that UV pen and let it dry. And like I say, we have this little framework that sits in amongst. So we just got it in at the top, a little dab of UV glue, then a dab at the bottom, dab at the side as well. Hit it with the UV pen. Let it dry, and then we repeat this for the other side as well. With both doors done, we can concentrate on putting our door cards in. Now, there is a piece of metal rod that goes in here, and it's supposed to help the doors stay up. Now, in a dry test fit, it didn't work at all, actually hindered the doors shutting, so I opted to leave it out. So our doors were still open, they just won't hold themselves open, which I'd rather they do than hold themselves open and then the door's not shut. So rather than faffing about with the metal rod, I thought I'll leave it out. So we popped the door cards on like so, bit of CA glue, and the doors fit on beautifully, as you can see, just there. They look really good, so happy about that. Finishing touches now, we've got our window wiper to put on. There's some indicators, as you can see, we put all the grills on, they're all in place. And these really are the finishing touches now, and there we go. So this video was last night. This is before I put in the display case, before we had all the hazing off the CA glue. and it's looking good. Now, it's not completely ruined the model, but it has certainly put some hazing on the wheels, which is a real shame because they were looking really good. But as you can see, the trunk looks good on the back. Engine cover opens up. I was going to have more detail to the engine, but you can't really see that much in there. So I didn't really think there was much point, but it's in there. We can see it. The doors open. Okay, they don't stay open, but they do lift up. They come off as well. So we have a good look at the interior. And we've got the spare wheel trunk well thing at the front as well, which I haven't shown here, unfortunately. But you saw it in the videos anyway. So overall, it turned out not too bad. We've got some pictures. We'll have a quick look. So, yeah, other than the hazing, which has kind of ruined it a little bit, the kit's a bit rough in places. This is the nature of these Fujimi kits. They're a compromise. They're not quite a high detail, big scale kit. They're not quite a 24 scale kit. So there's a compromise here. I do enjoy building them. This hasn't been as good as the Porsche or the Ferrari 288 I built. It's probably the worst one I built so far. But it's finished and it looks like a Lamborghini Countach. So it is what it is. So this is the Koenig Lamborghini Countach. It was primed in Tamiya white fine surface primer, base painted in Tamiya TS. I think it's not 47, but it's the pearl white. I forget the colour now. It's clear coated in Gravity Spain 2K clear, flattened and polished using the Ultimate Polish system. Interior was zero Bordeaux red. We used some self-adhesive felt carpet for the interior as well. The wheels were Mr. Hobby Super Stainless Steel. Everything was painted with the Ultimate Apex as per usual. All the engine was painted in various LP and TS metallics. And like I say, we also scratch built our exhaust out of aluminium tubing because the standard exhaust looked absolutely terrible. But the carpet looks good, the boot looks good, the interior's turned out pretty well. It's just let down in a few places. It's a real shame about the hazing on the bodywork, but it is what it is. The wheels I can't get back off, so I end up ruining all the running gear to fix. The bodywork, I could polish it all again, but it takes forever to do. And the windows, well, there's no rectifying those. They are what they are. So there we go. That's where we're at. Let's go back to maybe some final words. Right then, there we go. So, yes. A few things gone wrong there. Not very impressed with myself. Silly mistakes. And yes. Not been kind of feeling myself over the last couple of weeks. Few things here and there. I think it always reflects itself in my modelling. So, yes, this could have been better. It could have been worse. But a few things go wrong. Clear coat was quite thick because it was back when we were hosing the clear coat on like idiots. So, not the best clear coat. The wash around all the wheel arches and that could have been a lot better. I should have rescribed it and that, but it is what it is. It's done now. And then, of course, at the end, the hazing from the super glue, the CA glue. I should know by now. This has happened before. There's a Ferrari Berlinetta in my display case that I did this to. I think I glued the interior in the chassis and then put it in a case, enclosed case with the body and all the other parts, and everything got a haze on it. And I spent a good couple of hours repolishing all the body. It took longer getting the CA glue haze off than getting the 2K floors out. So yes, I should know better. Opened up the display case this morning, saw the haze all over the wheels and all over the body. I was like, oh God, over the glass. And there's not much coming back from that. Thankfully, it's not that bad a haze. It's quite bad on the wheels, but I wiped most of it off. The windows are not great anyway, so it's not like we've got optically fantastic clear windows to ruin. And thankfully, it's a white body, so you can't really see the haze. And it's not the worst. It's certainly not terrible, but it's definitely there. But it's a lesson learned. It's another one of these. Not everyone can be one you're happy with, and there certainly isn't one. But it's lesson learned. It's all a build out there. I think it's build 18 of the year or something. No, 14 of the year, is it? Might be. Which isn't bad considering they're all been video builds. So yeah, it is what it is. It's in the case. It's finished, and we can move on. So what's next? Well, we're going to work on the McLaren MP45B I reviewed the other day. I've already started it. Funny enough, this was going to be out before this. But the side pods on this are a nightmare, so I had to sprue glue them. And if you've used sprue glue before, you'll know it takes forever to dry. So I thought I'll leave it for a good while. It's been left now for what? A week nearly? And yeah, they'll be well dry now. So that's next. We'll get part one of that up. And then I'm going to pick a build for myself. Something for me. Not sure yet. I need to have a good look through the stash. I would normally give the patrons the chance to pick it, but I think I want to pick my own this time. And I want to have an enjoyable build just for me. I think that's the idea of this one. So yes, I'll announce that in a couple of days. I've got a bench update to do, so I'll probably announce it in that. And we'll look over the foos and this again. I'll have a little bit of chat. And then just before Christmas, I'm going to do a year review of all the kits I built over the year and have a bit of a chat. But I've also got some reviews I want to do over the next couple of days and a few of the videos I want to get done. So stick around and yes, we'll get some more content out. It's been a bit quiet over the last week, but there is more content due. So there we are. As always, if you'd like to support the channel, there's a Patreon me link, a PayPal me link, and a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description down below. Any and all donations are greatly received, and they are what keep these videos coming. Without those donations, I couldn't make these videos, so they're all greatly received. And as always, check out International Scale Model Facebook page and forum, umpretail.com, where you get a lot of the products I use in these videos. My Paul ISM Facebook page, where all my personal and modelling work is shared. The Live the Bench page for the live shows, the Off Air Hangout group for all the Off Air Hangouts, and the International Scale Modeler GB group page as well. And don't forget, on my other channel linked in the description down below, I go live every day, bar Friday and Saturdays. Come over in the morning to watch us for a few hours and show some support. There we go. If you've watched, leave a comment. I do appreciate all the comments. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and click that thumbs up and bell notification to get notified of all the latest videos. And if you've got this far, let me see. Even if you don't like them, what's your favourite Christmas song? Not everybody likes Christmas songs, but even if you don't like them, there must be one you tolerate more than the others. So what's your favourite one? For me, it's Jonah Louie, Stop the Cavalry. That's my favourite one, I think. Always reminds me of Christmas. Hannah likes it as well. So what's yours? Even if you're a bar humbug, I hate Christmas, there must be one Christmas song you tolerate more than others. So let me know in the description down below, and let's see who got this far in the video. Catch you all later, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.